Have you ever felt like your life was being sabotaged by something you cannot see? As if there were invisible hands pushing against you every time you try to move forward? Have you noticed that just when things begin to improve, when hope is finally within reach, everything suddenly collapses? Think for a moment. How many times have you started with excitement, only to watch your dreams unravel at the very last moment? How many times have you asked yourself, why does this always happen to me? Why does success slip through my fingers like sand? Perhaps you've worked harder than most people around you. Perhaps you've prayed, fought, done everything right. And yet the breakthrough never seems to last. Instead of peace, you find chaos. Instead of joy, you encounter disappointment. Instead of stability, life keeps handing you another storm. And late at night, when the noise of the world fades and you are left alone with your thoughts, maybe you've felt it, that heavy presence pressing on your chest. Not mere anxiety. Not just stress. Something deeper. A weight you cannot explain. A silence that feels crowded. As if unseen eyes were watching you. Does this sound familiar? So, you are not imagining things. You are not cursed by coincidence. What you are experiencing is not just bad luck. For centuries, men and women of faith have spoken of an invisible world that operates parallel to our own. A world of light and a world of darkness. And in that unseen realm, forces are at work. Forces that would love nothing more than to derail your destiny, steal your peace, and sabotage your blessings. Most people ignore this. They laugh it off. They tell themselves it's all in the mind. But Saint Teresa of Ávila, one of the greatest mystics in the history of the Catholic Church, did not ignore it. He saw it. He felt it. She lived through it. And what she left behind is a revelation so powerful that it has freed countless souls across the centuries. Listen carefully, because what you are about to hear is not empty theory. It is not superstition. It is the lived experience of a woman who walked the earth with her eyes fixed on heaven. A woman who battled invisible enemies and discovered a weapon so simple, yet so powerful that it can break chains stronger than steel. Here's what Saint Teresa revealed. When a soul surrenders to God, it becomes a threat to hell. And hell does not sit idly by. Think about that for a moment. Your very existence, your very calling, may be so important, so dangerous to the kingdom of darkness, that attacks have been launched against you since the moment you began to rise. That is why your life feels like a cycle of sabotage. That is why peace slips away just when you think you've found it. That is why opportunities collapse without explanation. Because the battle is real. But here is the good news. Victory is not only possible, it is promised. And the key to that victory is not found in complicated rituals, secret formulas, or mysterious symbols. It is found in faith. It is found in the power of the spoken word. And more specifically, in 3 simple words that Saint Teresa herself received in the depths of her own spiritual struggle. 3 words that carry the fire of heaven. 3 words that silence the enemy. 3 words that can lift the heaviest oppression and unlock blessings long delayed. Before this journey is over, you will not only discover those 3 words, but you will understand why they have the power to break every curse, every cycle of failure, every chain that has tried to bind your life. But first, you must recognize the battle for what it truly is. You must open your eyes to the signs that the struggle you face is not natural but spiritual. Because once you can recognize the enemy's fingerprints, you are already halfway to victory. So stay with me. Stay close. Because in the chapters to come, we will uncover the hidden signs of spiritual attack, the ways the enemy tries to disguise himself, and finally, the secret weapon Saint Teresa left for us. The weapon that turns defeat into victory, despair into hope, and fear into unshakable faith. The hidden struggle is real. But so is the power that will set you free. Now that we have uncovered the hidden struggle, let us go deeper. Because if there truly is a battle over your life, then there must also be signs of that battle. And if you learn to recognize those signs, you will no longer mistake them for bad luck or mere coincidence. You will understand that you are in the middle of spiritual warfare. Saint Teresa of Ávila, through her mystical experiences, identified clear patterns that reveal when a soul is under spiritual attack. These patterns are not rare. They are more common than most people realize. And if you pay attention, you may discover that they have been present in your own life for far too long. Let us look at them one by one. The first sign is the cycle of destruction. Have you noticed that everything in your life begins well, but mysteriously falls apart before it can succeed? Your projects start strong, full of promise, yet collapse at the last moment. Your relationships blossom beautifully, only to wither suddenly without explanation. Your plans are carefully prepared, but at the final step, something unexpected ruins everything. This is not simple misfortune. It is not just bad timing. It is a mark of spiritual warfare. Because the enemy delights in snatching away blessings just before they bear fruit, leaving you discouraged and doubting your own worth. The second sign is disturbing dreams. Saint Teresa wrote that the enemy seeks to disturb the rest of the soul because a rested soul is a strong soul. If you are plagued by nightmares, dreams in which you are chased, attacked, or surrounded by darkness, if you wake up feeling heavy, afraid, or oppressed, pay attention. This is not simply your imagination. Your spirit is being attacked while you sleep. The night, which should be a sanctuary of rest, becomes a battlefield. The third sign is sudden oppression. Have you ever entered a place and felt the air grow heavy, as if invisible chains were pressing against you? Have you ever been overwhelmed by sadness or despair without any clear reason? Perhaps you were fine one moment, and then suddenly, an unshakable heaviness descended upon you. Saint Teresa experienced this many times. She understood that it was not ordinary depression, not mere emotion, but a spiritual oppression designed to weaken her faith and steal her peace. The fourth sign is resistance in prayer. Think about it. Every time you try to pray, every time you attempt to meditate to lift your heart to God, distractions suddenly multiply. Your mind is filled with negative thoughts. Your body grows restless. You feel a strange aversion to the things of God, as if prayer itself has become a burden. This is no accident. The enemy fears your connection with the divine more than anything else. And so he will throw every obstacle in your way, hoping you will give up. The fifth sign is unexplained sickness or fatigue. Pains that come and go without reason. Illnesses that doctors cannot explain. An exhaustion that no amount of rest can heal. Saint Teresa herself endured these mysterious ailments. And through prayer she discerned that many of them were not physical at all but spiritual in nature. Attacks designed to weaken her body so that her spirit would falter. Now pause for a moment and reflect. How many of these signs have you seen in your own life? 2. Perhaps more? If you recognize even one, do not ignore it. And if you recognize several, understand this. You are not imagining things. You are not cursed by chance. You are facing a real enemy. But here is something most people never realize. These attacks do not come because you are weak. They come because you are chosen. They come because your soul carries a purpose so great, so vital to God's plan, that hell itself has taken notice. The enemy does not waste his time on those who pose no threat. He attacks the ones who are destined to shine. So if your life feels like it is under siege, do not despair. It may be the very evidence that you are important in God's story. Saint Teresa understood this perfectly. She taught that when a soul surrenders to God, it becomes a light in the darkness, and darkness always tries to extinguish the light. But no matter how thick the darkness, it cannot overcome the flame of faith. In the next chapter we will explore why these attacks happen, the true reason behind your struggles, and why the enemy fights so hard against you. Because once you understand the purpose of the attack, you will also discover the secret of your victory. The battle is real, yes, but so is the hope, and your story is far from over. Now that you have seen the signs of spiritual attack, the question arises: why? Why does this happen? Why do some people seem to move through life untouched, while others are constantly pushed down by invisible forces? Why do the storms always seem to gather over your head? Saint Teresa of Ávila gave us a profound answer. She wrote, "When a soul surrenders to the Lord, it becomes a threat to hell. And hell does not stand idly by." Think about that. Hell does not waste its time on those who are already trapped in fear, doubt, or sin. It does not fight those who pose no danger. The attacks come against those who matter most in the kingdom of God. If you are being attacked, if you are facing resistance at every step, it may be the clearest evidence that your life has meaning beyond what you can imagine. It means you carry a purpose that frightens the enemy. It means heaven has marked you as chosen and hell has noticed. Consider this: the enemy does not fear your weaknesses. He fears your potential. He fears what you will become when you finally walk in the fullness of your calling. He fears the blessings you will release into the world, the lives you will touch, the light you will carry into the darkness. That is why your progress is opposed. That is why your relationships are sabotaged. That is why opportunities vanish just when you are about to break through. The enemy wants to keep you from discovering who you really are in God. Have you ever wondered why the constant setbacks, the repeated disappointments, the cycles of loss? Why does it feel like something is trying to hold you down? The truth is simple, though it may shock you. Because you are dangerous. Your faith, even if small, is dangerous. Your prayers, even when whispered through tears, are dangerous. Your destiny, even if hidden from your eyes, is dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Saint Teresa saw this clearly. She lived it. The more she gave her heart to God, the more she became a target of unseen forces. And yet, she also discovered the greater truth. That no attack, no oppression, no curse has the power to overcome a soul fully surrendered to Christ. Let that sink in for a moment. The fact that you are attacked is not a sign of your defeat. It is a sign of your importance. It is proof that you are destined for more. So do not despair when resistance rises. Do not give up when everything seems to crumble. Do not believe the lie that you are cursed, weak, or forgotten. Instead, see the battle for what it is. A desperate attempt by the enemy to keep you from stepping into your divine calling. But here is the promise, and it is one that Saint Teresa clung to with every fiber of her being. The power of God within you is greater than any power against you. And the very chains meant to hold you down can become the testimony of your freedom. In the next chapter, we will enter into Saint Teresa's own story. We will see how she faced these invisible attacks and what was revealed to her in the darkest nights of her soul. Because it was in those very moments of oppression that she discovered the secret weapon. A weapon she would pass down to us so that no chain, no curse, no attack could ever hold us captive again. Remember this. You are attacked not because you are nothing, but because you are everything in God's plan. The enemy fights hardest against those who are closest to their breakthrough. And your breakthrough may be nearer than you think. Saint Teresa of Ávila was no ordinary woman. She was not simply a nun enclosed within convent walls. She was a soul that burned with a fire the world could not extinguish. Her feet walked the earth, but her eyes were fixed on heaven. And because of this, she saw what others could not see. She saw the invisible. She heard the inaudible. She felt what most people could never bear to feel. And in those moments of spiritual struggle, when the weight of unseen forces pressed upon her most fiercely, she discovered a secret, a revelation that would change not only her life, but the lives of countless souls across centuries. It was the year 1560. Teresa had been experiencing wave after wave of spiritual attack. The visions grew darker. The oppression grew heavier. The whispers of despair surrounded her even in prayer. She described nights when the air itself seemed poisoned, when the silence was filled with mocking voices, when her own faith felt like it was slipping through her fingers. She wrote, "I felt as if all the forces of hell had gathered in my cell. It was no imagination. It was a reality more tangible than the ground beneath my feet. Can you imagine it? The room growing colder though it was summer. Your chest tightening until each breath feels like a battle. Invisible chains pressing on your soul until even the act of prayer feels impossible." This was the furnace of affliction in which Teresa found herself. And yet, it was in this furnace that heaven spoke. Instead of giving in to terror, instead of fleeing from the oppression, Teresa did what few would dare to do. She fell to her knees. She closed her eyes. And she cried out to God not with her own words, but with the desperate silence of her soul. And in that silence, a voice came. Not a voice heard with her physical ears, but with the ears of her spirit. Gentle yet filled with power. Comforting yet commanding. "My daughter," the voice said, "when you can endure no more, when the forces of evil surround you, when you feel all is lost, speak these words. 3 words. Speak them with all your heart, and you will see chains fall, darkness scatter, and peace return." Teresa listened. And in that sacred moment, heaven revealed to her the 3 most powerful words of faith. She spoke them aloud. Not as a whisper but as a declaration. Not as a ritual but as a proclamation. And instantly the atmosphere changed. The suffocating heaviness lifted. The malicious voices fell silent. The cold was replaced by warmth. And a light more radiant than the sun filled her soul. She wrote later, "The very moment I spoke those words, I felt as if 1,000 chains had been broken. The oppression disappeared and peace returned like a flood of golden light." From that night onward, Teresa carried those 3 words as her weapon of faith. Whenever oppression came, she would proclaim them, and victory always followed. She shared them with her sisters in the convent, and they too found freedom in their darkest hours. Those words were not mere comfort. They were a key, a spiritual key given by heaven to unlock peace, freedom, and unshakable faith. But what makes these words so powerful? Why do they cut through fear, guilt, and doubt like a sword of fire? Why do they work when so many other prayers seem to fall silent? The answer lies in what Teresa discovered next: the three pillars upon which every curse, every oppression, every attack is built. And once you understand those pillars, you will see why these three words are unlike any other words you have ever spoken. Stay with me, because in the next chapter we will uncover that secret, the hidden foundation of spiritual bondage, and how heaven has given us the weapon to tear it down forever. When Saint Teresa received the revelation of those three words, she also understood something deeper. She realized that every curse, every chain, every oppression, no matter how strong, rests on three hidden pillars. Think of a great fortress. It may look indestructible from the outside. Its walls may seem unshakable. But if you know where the foundation cracks lie, you can bring it down with a single blow. In the same way, spiritual oppression is built upon three foundations. And once you destroy these foundations, the entire structure collapses. The first pillar is fear. Fear is the weapon the enemy uses to paralyze the soul. It whispers, "You are not safe. You are not strong enough. Something terrible will happen." Fear makes you retreat when you should advance. Convinces you to stay silent when you should speak. It freezes your faith until all that remains is doubt and trembling. Think about how many decisions in your life have been ruled by fear. How many opportunities you did not take because you were afraid. How many prayers you did not dare to pray because fear told you they would not be answered. Fear is the soil in which curses grow. The second pillar is guilt. Guilt tells you that you deserve the suffering you are experiencing. It says, "This is punishment. This is who you are. You are not worthy of freedom, not worthy of blessing, not worthy of peace." Guilt keeps you chained to the past, replaying every mistake, every sin, every failure, until you no longer believe that God can forgive you. It poisons your soul with shame and convinces you that the darkness is your rightful home. How many times have you carried guilt longer than you needed to? How many times have you believed the lie that your past defines your future? This is the enemy's second pillar, to convince you that you deserve the chains he has placed on you. The third pillar is doubt. Doubt whispers, "God will not help you. You are on your own. Nothing will change." It robs your prayers of power. It weakens your faith until trust becomes impossible. It makes you believe that your situation is permanent, that your chains are unbreakable, that your destiny is sealed in failure. Doubt is the final lock on the prison door. Even when you long for freedom, doubt keeps you from believing it can be yours. Fear, guilt, doubt. These are the three pillars upon which every curse is built. These are the three shadows that keep a soul bound. But here is the good news. The words revealed to Saint Teresa destroy all three at once. When spoken with burning faith, the first word shatters fear. The second crumbles guilt. And the third silences doubt forever. This is why the revelation was so extraordinary. Teresa understood that she had not simply been given a prayer. She had been entrusted with a weapon. A key that could collapse the entire fortress of oppression in a single moment. Imagine for a moment what your life would look like without fear. What choices would you make if fear no longer controlled you? Imagine living without guilt. What freedom would you feel if your past no longer chained you? Imagine walking without doubt. What doors would open if you truly believed that God is with you, that He hears you, that He will act on your behalf? This is what those three words release. This is why they carry such supernatural power. In the next chapter, I will finally reveal those words to you. The words that shattered the chains of Saint Teresa, that have brought freedom to countless souls, and that can transform your life if you speak them with the same blazing faith. Prepare your heart, because what you are about to receive is not a theory. It is the key to your deliverance. And now, the moment you have been waiting for. The moment Saint Teresa herself longed for in the darkest hours of her soul. The moment when heaven broke through the chains of fear, guilt, and doubt and revealed the weapon that no force of darkness could withstand. The three words are simple. You have heard them before. Perhaps you have even spoken them before. But today you will discover them as Saint Teresa discovered them, not as a phrase but as a weapon. Not as empty words but as living fire. The words are these: "Jesus, I trust in you." So simple, so familiar. And yet, when spoken with burning faith, They carry the power to collapse every fortress of darkness. Let us look at them one by one. The first word, Jesus. This is the name above every name. The name before which every knee must bow, in heaven, on earth, and under the earth. At this name, demons tremble, chains are broken, and curses are shattered. When you say Jesus, you are not just speaking a name, you are invoking the authority of the Son of God, the one who conquered death, hell, and the grave. You are calling upon the Savior who calmed storms, healed the sick, raised the dead, and promised, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. The second word, I trust. These two words are an act of war. They declare that fear has no place in your heart. They silence the voice of guilt that says you are unworthy. They destroy the poison of doubt that whispers you are alone. When you say, I trust, you are surrendering everything, your past, your present, your future. You are saying, I cannot carry this on my own, but I will not be afraid. I will not bow to shame. I will not give in to despair. I place it all in the hands of God. Trust is the opposite of fear. Trust is the opposite of guilt. Trust is the opposite of doubt. It is the key that unlocks heaven's storehouse and brings peace into the chaos. The third word, in you. Not in myself. Not in luck. Not in charms or rituals. Not in other people who may fail me. In you. These words direct all your faith, all your surrender, all your confidence to the only one who has the power to save. You are saying, Jesus, I trust not in my strength, not in my wisdom, not in my efforts. I trust in you, the one who holds the universe, the one who holds my destiny, the one who has never failed. Do you see the power now? Jesus, I trust in you, is not a formula. It is a proclamation. It is a sword of faith. It is a declaration that collapses the three pillars of fear, guilt, and doubt all at once. Saint Teresa discovered that when these words are spoken with the fire of faith, the enemy flees instantly. Chains break. Oppression lifts. Peace floods the soul. But hear this clearly. It is not enough to whisper them as if they were a charm. It is not enough to repeat them mechanically without conviction. The power is not in the sound of the words. It is in the faith with which you speak them. When Teresa cried out in her cell, she did not whisper. She declared. She proclaimed those words as a soldier proclaims victory on the battlefield. And in that moment the atmosphere shifted. The darkness fled. The light of Christ filled the room. Now imagine what could happen if you did the same. Imagine standing in the face of fear, oppression, or despair and declaring aloud, Jesus, I trust in you. Not timidly, not half-heartedly, but with the full weight of your faith. Imagine proclaiming it over your family, over your health, over your future. Imagine speaking it into every situation where the enemy has tried to hold you captive. This is what Saint Teresa left for us. A key. A weapon. A declaration of victory that no curse, no oppression, no darkness can resist. So let us say it together right now. Take a deep breath. And with all the strength of your heart, proclaim it aloud. Jesus, I trust in you. Did you feel it? Did you sense the weight lifting, the chains breaking, the peace flooding in? That is not imagination. That is freedom. And this freedom can become your daily reality. Because these words are not meant for one desperate moment. They are meant to be the shield you carry every single day. In the next chapter we will learn how to use this weapon of faith in your daily life. How to speak these words not only in moments of crisis, but as a lifestyle of victory. Because trust, when it becomes your habit, transforms not only your heart, it transforms everything around you. Now you know the secret. Now you have the key. The three most powerful words ever given to a soul in the midst of spiritual battle. Jesus, I trust in you. But knowledge without action is like a seed that is never planted. If you want to experience the freedom, the peace, the protection these words carry, you must use them. Not once, not only in desperation, but daily, as a shield, as a declaration, as your new way of living. Saint Teresa herself taught this. She instructed her sisters not simply to recite the words, but to proclaim them with faith, to make them a habit, to let them shape the atmosphere around their lives. So how do you use this weapon of faith? First, begin your day with it. When you wake in the morning, before your mind fills with worries and your heart with burdens, speak the words aloud. Jesus, I trust in you. Make it your first act of the day. It is like placing a shield of light over yourself before you step into the world. Second, declare it in moments of fear. When anxiety rises, when bad news comes, when you feel overwhelmed, stop and proclaim it. Jesus, I trust in you. not in fear but in faith. You are reminding the enemy, and yourself, that you are not ruled by panic, but by trust in the one who holds all power. Third, speak it over your family and loved ones. Say it when you pray for your children, your spouse, your parents. Say it over your household, your relationships, your future. Jesus, I trust in you. By doing so, you invite His protection, His blessing, His peace into every corner of your life. Fourth, use it as a weapon at night. Saint Teresa often spoke of the attacks that came in the dark hours. But she also testified that these words carried peace even in the midnight battle. Before you sleep, hold a crucifix, a rosary, or even a simple cross and proclaim aloud, Jesus, I trust in you. Let those words be the last thing your heart speaks before rest. Fifth, make it your answer to doubt. When your mind is clouded with questions, when you cannot see the way forward, when everything in you wants to give up, say it again. Jesus, I trust in you. Because doubt cannot survive in the same heart where trust has taken root. And if you truly want to experience transformation, try this. For 7 days, every night, kneel with a sacred object in your hand and repeat the words 3 times. Breathe deeply, let peace fill you, and trust completely. 7 days of faith can break chains that have held you for years. Remember, these are not magic words. They are a declaration of faith. They work not because they are spoken but because they are believed. Because when you say them with burning trust, heaven listens. Saint Teresa once said, "A soul that trusts is like a torch in the desert. Darkness may surround it, but it cannot be extinguished." That torch can be your life. That flame can burn in you. So take this weapon. Carry it with you. Let it be your shield in every battle, your answer in every trial, your proclamation in every storm. And watch as peace begins to replace fear, hope begins to rise where despair once lived, and light shines where there was only darkness. If this message has touched your heart, if you have felt even a glimpse of freedom as we walked this journey together, I invite you to stay connected. Because there is more wisdom, more revelation, more timeless guidance from the saints and mystics waiting for you. This channel exists to keep their voices alive, to bring their light into our world, to remind us that we are never alone in the struggle. So if you have found hope here, if you desire to grow deeper in faith, I ask you, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom of Saint Teresa. Join this community of souls walking together on the path of trust, peace, and freedom. And remember, above all else, no curse is stronger than faith. No chain is stronger than trust. No darkness is stronger than the light of Christ. So let these words be forever on your lips, forever in your heart. Jesus, I trust in you.